Good afternoon. It's time we're going to, call the Edgefield County Planning Commission work session. The order, April 11, 2024. Okay, get all that in. We're gonna call the meeting to order this time. Tonight we have a,
I got that a little too high, yes.
tonight we have a guest speaker, a representative from Luck Companies, Katie Colossus, Ben Thompson. It's you. And, Suzanne Mitchell. It's you. They're gonna give us a presentation.
Thank you guys so much for your time tonight. We're really excited and humbled to be in front of you. We have a project that our organization is really excited about for a lot of reasons, but mostly to be able to join such a wonderful community and hopefully be a partner for a long, long time. There's three of us here representing Luck. I thought we could just take a couple minutes introducing ourselves and our backgrounds so that if you have particular questions at the end, we can direct to the appropriate person. So I'm going to throw it over to Ben first.
Yeah, well, as Katie said, thank you very much. Appreciate the willingness to sit down and kind of hear our story and what we'd like to propose to the county. I have been at this company, Luck Companies, for just shy of 20 years now. Before that, I was a county planner and then worked in the engineering field for a little while as well. We as a team are kind of the forefront of our company as we grow and try to expand opportunities for our associates and engagement with the community. And so we've been spending a lot of time around the state for many years now, and I can talk more about that later. But just please ask any question that you may have, and this is an open dialogue to be able to gain feedback. So thank you.
I'm Susan Mitchell. I'm Community Engagement Manager. I have been with Luck for not quite a year. Previously, I was in marketing and communications and community outreach, working on various projects, and most recently with the U.S. Forestry. I've also worked just recently for several years with wastewater, stormwater, drinking water programs, and getting that out to the general public. And I've done quite a bit of nonprofit work. My background is as a historian, so as you can imagine, I love the Edgefield community for that reason, and I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. And my name is Katie Kozlowski. I've been with Luck, if you count some of my internships in high school and college, about 15 years now. I've had a pretty unique career, so I have a background in engineering, so I've spent time in our engineering department and our project management groups, and then was really interested in the work that we were doing out in our operations, and so I took a management trainee role out in the field and spent about 6 years working in different operations of our quarries that you'll hear more about later across the East Coast, and ultimately became the first female plant manager for Luckstone and was running our Atlanta operation, which is one that employs the most associates of any in the company. And I get to use both of those backgrounds now as we look for new opportunities for the company to spread our mission and create employment opportunities for folks in the Southeast. So,
Dr. Demon, do we have a presentation? Can we throw it? Is that absolutely? Might just help the visuals as we're talking.
as Ben said, we have a presentation, but we really want this to be more of a conversation. So if at any time you have questions, please don't hesitate to interrupt. I know it feels weird talking about ourselves first, but I think it's really important to introduce the organization and what we stand for, what we believe in, because we're a little bit unique in how we approach people and the environment and those kinds of things. So I think that's really important to hear before we shift into the actual project itself. And we're going to kind of popcorn and kind of take different slides as well. So Luck Companies itself, it was founded 101 years ago. We just celebrated our 100th birthday, which is really, really exciting and unique because that entire time we've been family owned and operated. So the Luck family has responsibility operating. They're in the office on a daily basis. They're highly engaged, and they've been leading the organization for 3 generations, and we're about to step into our 4th generation here in the near future. The thing that's been consistent throughout the organization is its commitment to people. Yes, we make critical infrastructure materials. That's the foundation of the business, but the purpose and the real reason we come to work every day is because of people. And not only is it the people that work with us, but there's a true commitment in doing good to do well, and feeling as if we have a responsibility as a community member. We live in the communities we work in, to be active and engaged. And so, in addition to the people culture, we have a set of core values, and I know a lot of people say they have core values, but one thing that's kept me at Luck for so long is these core values come out in every meeting. So that you see a values card on the table there. Those are brought out and help us make decisions on a daily basis, from how we're going to run the business to what we're going to do in the quarries each day. So those are.
Sometimes it helps make decisions a lot easier. Sometimes it helps make them a lot tougher.
When you hear Luck Companies, that's going to be our parent organization. So there are several different business units that comprise Luck Companies. All have a focus on critical infrastructure materials, but they have a little bit different purpose. The oldest business, and the one that you'll hear most about tonight, is Luck Stone. Luck Stone was how the organization was founded all those years ago. They are focused on construction aggregate materials. And when I say that, those are materials that are mined from the earth for the purpose of concrete, asphalt. Essentially, anytime you remove dirt, rock is put back in for drainage. So those support our roads, our schools, our hospitals. Everything that we build has to have that foundation of stone. The mining industry as a whole is highly regulated. I'd be happy to explore that a little bit more in a little bit. But one thing I pride myself on is working for an organization that sets the standard. So not only do we meet those expectations set by local, federal, state agencies, but we set a lot of our standard operating procedures at half of those regulation limits. So our blasting limits are half of those, state and federal limits, our noise, those kinds of things. So a lot of that has to do with the pride in who we are as an organization and our care for the folks in our community. The next 2 organizations kind of speak to our value of creativity. They stemmed out of some creativity and some creative minds a few years ago. Luck Ecosystems was formed from the need. Generally, when you mine rock, there's dirt, or what we call overburden, on top of that rock. It generally just sits in a pile. It doesn't have a whole lot of use. But a team of folks in the organization a few years back were like, there's got to be something we can do with it. At the same time, there was a kind of a need in the construction industry for some environmental sensitive materials that can help when you put in a parking lot and you have runoff, kind of filter out some of the toxins that are being picked up from the pavement and those kinds of things. So that group is solely focused on creating those environmental products. They take our overburden and mix them with other materials. And then they also have a sports mix. So that can be found on Little League fields across the Southeast, 1 or 2 major league fields, and then a lot of small community fields in the area. We also make some golf course sands and those kinds of things. But the last business unit up there is the real estate group. So inherently out of the use that founded the business, Luck Stone, we have a lot of land. We want to have some buffer around us to protect our communities. The goal was to create the highest and best use, working with communities, trying to bring in more jobs, more tax revenue that didn't put a strain on the local infrastructure. So their job is to work with those local municipalities that can be anywhere in the East Coast, and all of our sites. We're hopeful to have some sort of economic development work as well. And then the last 2, along with our values, there was a huge, huge interest from other folks, both in the mining industry and other industries, on leading with those values, and we called it values-based leadership. And so our founder was really interested in being able to take that and deploy it to other folks. And so we have a nonprofit called Inner Will, and that's their entire focus, is helping companies and people establish core values and leading through their core values, doing leadership training all throughout the organization. And so that's their largest focus.
And they take that on the road.
Yeah.
So if you have a team, a leadership team that would like to go through that program, we do that sort of thing.
And then the last one up there is the Luck Family Foundation. So there is, like I said, a huge passion for being a part of communities and supporting communities. And one way that the Luck family has found they can do that is supporting nonprofits through grants. They also do matching gifts. So all of the associates in the organization, there's nearly 1,000 of us. If we make a donation to a nonprofit, the foundation will match it dollar for dollar, up to a certain level. I believe it's $2,000. So, but that's the family of businesses. Like I said, we hope to bring all of them at some point to Edgefield County. The focus of the project you'll hear about today is mostly Luckstone. So I'll stop there. I threw a lot at you. Are there any questions on the organization, the mission?
How did you come upon Little Edgefield County?
Oh, we'll
Yeah.
get there. That's mine. Don't let her steal that right away.
I think you stole the next slide. Yeah.
Is it? Are we
Yeah.
already there? Well, you were just one step ahead of us.
I'm so psychic.
So we decided, like a lot of industries, and especially the construction materials industries, there's been, since the Great Recession, there's been a lot of consolidation. So we had two avenues. One, and Katie mentioning the mission and vision of our company, that is very sincere and very real. And the way we view it is the more touch points we can have, the more we can extend positive impact. And so growth is really important for that reason for us. Growth is also really important because we do have, there's a crazy statistic that like 94% of our company associates are all in continuing education. And actually we're measured on that as well. So about half of our, every company has annual assessments and things like that. Ours are certainly a lot more regular than that. But about half of the conversation is about technically how have you grown and what's your experience, and two-way feedback. The other half is what have you done in the community, how have you expanded your education, and so those are the ways we have education. So the opportunities that get created just as you gain greater scale is really important to us. And then on that consolidation of industries, we compete. We are the largest family-owned and operated company in this space. However, most of our competitors are big public companies. And so with consolidation, we might, everything we're doing is supporting customers. And our customers, if they love working with us here, but they're gonna get beat up over there. And that's a lot of plain language way to say it, but we really wanted to expand to be able to serve our customers as they consolidate and grow as well. So we spent a lot of time on looking at our culture and where our culture would like to do business and what fits for existing cultures. And really the Southeast was more focused in that way. We're a heavy relationship group. And so about 7 years ago, there's a ton of, the more time we spend with South Carolinians, you hear stories about, oh, I've got family in Virginia, and Virginians vice versa have a lot of family in South Carolina, and just a lot of migration and schooling back and forth, and felt like that was a really good fit for us. So initially we acquired a small operation just north of Camden, and that gave us some familiarity on the ground in South Carolina, and we were able to hire some great associates from Kershaw County there. And that site did really well, and it did so well because we are always kind of out and talking to people, and that's just the way we conduct business. And that kind of was proof to us that we were making the right kinds of decisions. Since then, we have permitted a site in Spartanburg County. We have permitted a site in Fairfield County that's up and running. The one in Spartanburg will be up and running towards the end of this year, start of next year. We permitted a site in Chester County, just south of kind of the Rock Hill area there. And we really, you know, in looking at what our desire of the state footprint would be preferred, Edgefield County was really a good focus to us. We liked the character. So Edgefield County has a lot of special things going for it. And so we felt like this was an environment that really could fit us and we would fit well within. And then also Augusta sitting there and growing, Aiken sitting there and growing, and the state in general is growing. The state's also doing a pretty good job of, you know, David or Doc may have comment on this, but is becoming more intentional about supporting infrastructure upgrades and getting roads better and things like that. And that's a great avenue for us. So really Edgefield had all the pieces in part, and you know, key in that is it's adjacent to markets that are growing. And we also took a look at a lot of y'all's plans, and you have plans that are set up for kind of respecting and retaining rural character, and you got plans for trying to be purposeful about if we have growth, we want it to go in this area. And so kind of those smart development tactics are things we like to see, because that makes us feel like people are oriented towards success, and just fosters a belief that the county will continue to grow and do great things in a smart way. So that was probably more than you were really asking. But I'm a talker, so when I get going, I get going.
You did fine.
So the site that we've come upon, and we have been, you know, very quietly in Edgefield County for probably a year and a half to 2 years now. There is a ton of due diligence that we have to undertake to find a site that works. Big part of that is what are the surrounding land uses. Big part of that is what is the roadway infrastructure. And then also importantly, you know, it's got to have parameters that meet, you know, our respect and environmental ethic around protecting environmental features, and also the rock has to be in the ground specifically for this use. And many times it just does not work. So we looked at various properties, and then once we really got intentional and focused on the property that we're speaking about tonight, we had a myriad of studies and tests that we had to go through. The site that we have landed on is off of Woodlawn Road, and it is about just orienting you. It's about 4.5 miles west of Sportsman's Corner, and pretty much right up against the McCormick County line. And then from the other side, I think it's Highway 28. We're about 1.5 miles east of Highway 28. So from a site standpoint, you know, this is a pretty exceptionally rural area of the county, but does have a good roadway that we were able to work with and have conversations with DOT about. And so the stars kind of aligned, and we got there. I'll pause there. Any concern or questions on what I just said?
You already covered the area then, right?
We have, yes,
Yeah.
sir. And we did We did somewhere between 12 and 16 holes on the site for core. And next step is to send all that to a lab because it's got to be able to meet certain Department of Transportation specifications. And so all the studies done, and then there's a myriad of additional studies like threatened and endangered species, traffic impact certainly, cultural resource studies, wetlands delineations, and the list goes on and on and on. This is one of the more highly regulated industries in the U.S., and there's a lot of voices that participate in review and comment during our process. So this, and I'm probably speaking too far, but this is, while we've done all the due diligence, this is one of the earlier conversations we have. We probably have, if things continue in a positive fashion, which we're certainly hopeful, it's probably about another year ahead of us of getting every single one of the permits that we need to get.
What's the projected duration of the project as a whole?
No,
That's great. That's great.
It's somewhere north of 70 years.
70.
Yeah, it really depends on the demand for the material. So if the demand goes up from what we've projected, that will reduce the amount of time. But in our 100-year history, we've only retired 2 quarries. One of those is we worked with the local municipality that serves water to the area, and it will serve as 1 billion gallons of water storage. And then the second quarry is right outside of Washington, D.C. There's not a huge amount of storage for overburdened dirt. And overburdened dirt not only comes from a quarry, but it also comes when they're developing buildings or roads. And so we are storing that material and creating a place for it if it is ever needed again when they build another road, or it can have a permanent home there in the future.
So what was found in this quarry?
Material-wise,
Yes,
it's a granite material, and its most prevalent use would be in base for roads or foundations, houses, or buildings like this, and then like a primary customer. It's going to go to any construction job, but your primary customers would be like local concrete companies, local asphalt, things of that nature.
And I might be way ahead of the game on this question. I'm just curious. My children and I were able to tour a quarry over in Columbia County.
Okay.
Which was fascinating. But they developed something, it's like a cubicle piece to make concrete with, where it drains better than just is that patented just with that company, or is that something y'all do too? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Was it really a small?
Yeah, it was like a
material?
little, like they figured out the cube shape.
Yeah.
Really helped drain, like for interstate highways.
Yeah.
And when they redid I-20, and expanded that out there, Richmond and Columbia County, they use that, and so you do see a difference driving down the interstate.
Yeah. Yep.
So do y'all?
We do make that. It's called a manufactured sand because the particle shape mimics that of a natural sand. And what it's trying to do, natural sand has a limited reserve base in the United States, specifically the Southeast, and so it's trying to serve as a supplement to road base it's a huge component of concrete. And so it's a lot of producers in the industry have brought in technology to help us create that product.
I was just wondering if anybody else produced that.
I think it's a really good question. All of our products are, we're making the same products as our competitors because South Carolina DOT presents a certain, they call it gradation or mixture of the rock sizes that they will accept. And so generally all of your construction jobs are going to be spec'd to that South Carolina DOT. And so generally we're all going to be making similar products.
What, as far as employment, how many jobs would be available, you know, or
Wanna
manufactured
hit that?
to do sure.
So when we start, quarries are not
Right.
big employers.
No.
So when we start, it'll probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 employees. A lot of companies choose to have their own trucking. We purposely choose not to do that. So there would be, and the reason we choose not to is because you actually have more control of the way trucks act and interact on roadways if they're a contractor. You have just, it's an easier conversation. But probably the bigger reason is that there's already existing folks in this market that have either a fleet of trucks or one or two trucks. And if we were to do that, we would be displacing existing businesses. So we choose to come in, have a lot of conversations, and sign those folks up, which allows them to grow their business or gives them more certainty of schedule and opportunity to make money. And that's typically somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 75 individuals. As sites progress in volume, you do need to add more people in. However, that said, we would probably cap it just for confidence. It's probably not going to become more than 25 associates.
Those jobs are some where folks don't have to come with experience. So we do a lot of task training in-house. Ben was talking about the continued education. Those classes are often offered in-house. We have a technical training center where folks can do everything from learn to weld to how to change a crusher to and then we have accounting classes and business acumen classes as well. So it's really catered to what the employee is interested in and trying to bring that to them so they don't have to feel like they come to us with it. And then we also love to partner with local technical colleges, whether that's helping provide a resource field trip or a resource to go into the classroom to help teach. So it really depends on what the need of the local area is, and we don't want to pretend to tell folks what they need, and so it's really supporting the infrastructure that's already there.
So the piece of property that we're talking about in total is around 1,700 acres. So really large piece of property. What we're specifically talking about is about 420 acres of that. And so I've got a drawing here where we've got kind of a layout similar to the one up there. This area, just for scale, is around 50 acres. So that would be the extraction area. And then there is a secondary phase to that, which is another 40 acres, just shy. So what would, from a time limit, and you're asking how long these things go, a 50-acre pit here probably equates to around 50 years. So these things start off pretty small, and also the scale in general does that. So you'll have a very small portable plant in there for a while as the pit gets opened up. And then as which I'm doubtful many of us will see, but as we get 50 years down the road or so, it'll expand into this other shaded phase 2 area. As you come in off of Woodlawn Road, so we cited this with expected line of sight, and we do have a visual, it's down there on the ground of kind of what an entrance would look like. And we would put a plug in too, just as you all picture quarries. And it's part of the reason that we put imagery up there with pointers. We have a very high expectation of ourselves coming from our ownership on the aesthetics of this. One is that makes us feel better about ourselves and the enjoyment of working in these places. But also it's, how are you perceived by the community, and what does that interaction look like? So we do have an offering. We would love for you all to come see one of our sites and see it for yourself, hear it for yourself, feel it for yourself, so it's not just us sitting here conveying, what we feel is a really good proposal. So you would enter off of Woodlawn Road, a vehicle would come in, it would get weighed, and then it would come to this area to pick up its product and come back out. That's pretty purposeful, so we don't have people wandering around the site. Everything you see in green here is either going to be undisturbed buffer or the overburden that Katie spoke to, which will be sculpted on the site, and then it's vegetated and treed. And then ultimately that we are north of 60% of the site will be in open space. We also do have a lot of thought, even though, what will this property be next? We are not arrogant enough to think that we know what the community or the need will be 70 plus years from now. But we do think about where we place material to ensure that upon redevelopment of the site, whether that's a water reservoir or a park or what have you, that there is an opportunity for easy development around the pit, which will ultimately be a water feature. It'll fill up with water. On the north side of the property, so you have U.S. forestry property up here, you have forestry property over there, and then a big forestry tract that kind of wraps down here. We've put a trail along Stevens Creek. So most of, and we have conditioned ourselves to work through a process to create that trail. A lot of our sites, it used to be kind of old school that people would say, we want to be as far away from civilization as possible, and civilization would say the same. We actually see a lot of interaction on our sites. So many of our sites do have trails associated with them, overlooks, and beside our corporate office, we have a quarry, and it is, I've shared an earlier conversation, it is kind of funny to walk out on a Friday afternoon after work, and people have, community folks have picnic blankets spread out and little glasses of wine and stuff like that, and they're watching the sunset come down over the pit. So that is kind of one of our hallmarks and a way that we can expose people to the work that we do, which we're very proud of.
And just so y'all know, one of the trails for the National Forest is very close to there. So the idea is the trail head that they develop connects over to that existing trail to extend the trail network with the National Forestry Service as well.
Where's the FATS in relation to this?
Where's the what?
The FATS trail. in
It's-
relation
what
to
it's
this?
talking
It's right here. Sorry, it's down on the other side of the
It's down on the
road,
other side, yeah.
but the
Yeah.
trail
The Buzzard Trail
is right
connects
along
to
here.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the possibility of linking those two.
And we've already started that conversation with the forestry department. Before I step away from
You
this,
already purchased the land under contract or what, the land?
it is under contract. We have not closed on it yet. We do have, we typically keep it under option with the ability to purchase as we're going through the permitting process.
So I'm sure you guys are aware, but the Edgefield County zoning ordinance has a conditional use for mining and quarrying. And that has several different design criteria in which quarries have to meet. We're hopeful to meet and exceed some of those. And we've also, we know that trust does not come easy, specifically from the community, et cetera, with our use. And so in efforts to show our diligence and our want to be trusted, we've also offered 36 operating conditions. Those are tucked in the back of your book here. And they speak to everything from aesthetic to noise, dust, community interest. So like Ben mentioned, the trail system, that being conditioned, but also a community impact team. So a group of folks from around the area that would meet on a quarterly basis or on a basis that they deemed appropriate, to kind of let us know what's going on in the community, what's important to the community, how we can best engage with the community, and also that's kind of the community's guaranteed entrance into the quarry, right? That's how they can see what's going on. They get to see it, feel it, experience it, give us feedback, and hold us accountable.
So, and just, I'm gonna kind of say the same thing again. Our goal going into this, to demonstrate what kind of company we are, was to either meet or exceed the requirements that are currently on record with the county, and then all those additional obligations and responsibilities that Katie mentioned.
If approved, those conditions would be legally binding. So at any time, if it were found that we were not in compliance, the county, you all could remove our right to mine. So the hope there is to establish that level of trust with the community that we're going to hold ourselves accountable, but you also have the ultimate ability to remove the right. So if you turn to page 7 in your booklet, on the left-hand side, they are, in the interest of trying to, for size, getting them to fit on here, there are kind of bullet points on those operating conditions in which, for the design criteria, which Edgefield expects. And then on the right-hand side, it is how Luck is stating we'll expect to hold ourselves accountable to those. I think it's best to run through each one, or you guys?
I think everybody
Yeah,
sitting
good.
at this table was here when we wrote that.
This will
Yeah.
be in the whenever you guys get the memorandum, it'll again be in the memorandum as a condition that y'all are approving.
Also, I'll mention that even though they did all their homework up front regarding our own conditional use requirements, I did have a concern with Woodlawn Road. I don't know if y'all have ever been to Martin Marietta's quarter or to the concrete plant over there on Stevens. But anytime you have a heavy truck, loaded truck, that has to make sharp turns, it basically fills the concrete up like it's not there, the asphalt, excuse me. And so they've already passed their DOT traffic study. DOT's already given them the unofficial green light, but I asked them to consider an improvement of the intersection to help prevent the deterioration of Woodlawn Road where those trucks have to turn on and off of it. And they agreed to look into it. Obviously, though they'd be happy to do it, DOT does actually have to approve any change in their road. I don't think DOT will have a problem with it, but I'm just saying, you know, it doesn't seem like a big request, but they were more than happy to jump on that and entertain it. So if you see anything that you notice that, hey, you know, it'd be nice if X, Y, Z, then communicate that, because they might actually do it.
And that's a big thing I'd love us to look at the sites that we visit. If you guys are able to visit, is really see what an entrance is like at one of our existing quarries, and the level of accountability that we hold ourselves to keeping that not only a clean intersection, but one that has efficient pavement, working with the local DOT, etc. So that's one thing I'm hopeful that you guys can put your own eyes on, and we don't have to.
I agree with Doc, because I live across from Rock Quarry on Lloyd Road.
Mhm.
And that road with the dump truck have big crevices. And I done asked them, they need to fix it. Because I'm telling you, I need to get tires every 3 to 4 months because of the heavy truck. And I don't think that's being fair to the residents that live down there on that road.
Yeah.
And in that area there, how many, is there any houses out there?
Surrounded by forestry.
Just forest? Okay.
There are, I think,
few.
there are a couple of houses directly across the street. And if you go about, I want to say half a mile to a mile, the residents start to pick back up as you head back towards Sportsman's Corner, there's probably between there and Sportsman's Corner, not counting one major subdivision that's out there, there's probably 15 houses or so before you get to Sportsman's Corner. I don't know how many homes are in, what's that called?
Stonewood.
Stonewood.
There's another subdivision to the left, and there's one to the right. There's not very many in the one to the left, but Stonewood has maybe 12 to 15, because they're large 5-acre lots.
So what's,
So within a mile as the bird flies, there's almost no residential. But once you get just a little bit past that, then you get into Meriwether level residential on Woodlawn Road. It's obviously not a dense area, but there are, like you said, if Stonewood has 15, then there's probably 30 or so houses between Martintown and the quarry, proposed quarry.
The only thing I wanted to add is not only we are asking for feedback from you guys on what to incorporate in conditions, we hope to be sitting down with each one of the residents in that area and asking for their feedback as well. And if there's something that we don't have in our conditions that they would like to see, that's also not off the table. We'd be happy to consider it as well. So
You got thick skin.
yeah, we do.
I'm just concerned about the, Woodlawn Road. I'm trying to picture in my mind the shoulders and stuff. And I travel all the way through that. You're gonna go back to
It goes-
28.
It does.
You're gonna go back 20 to McCormick, so that means that truck's gonna be coming from McCormick County. If they're coming back from Georgia, they're gonna take 28 and come back across from that way, instead of going the other way too, so that
So I
means.
imagine that some of their traffic will head to 28 to go into Augusta, but I imagine the bulk of it's gonna head down Woodlawn and try to hit exit 1.
But I just want
Am I correct on that?
I'm trying to picture, cause I don't wanna get 5 Tower and Woodlawn mixed in together. Let's see, one comes out down at, the road crosses in there. In McCormick County, when you go down to the Falls.
It's right before you get
Come
to
right-
the.
come back across.
the
I
the
am
one on
District
top of the
County
hill.
Planning Director.
They come up.
Don't ask me about McCormick.
But I know the road, a lot of people travel that road going back to Augusta. Now, I was just worried about the shoulders and, so forth, for big trucks,
So.
I gotta ride over and look at it again, cause I know it's kinda new to me on this, but
Sure.
that road has always been a concern with me, because it really is not the best in the country.
It is windy.
It winds,
It is very
real
windy.
It real windy when you come to big trucks and loads, you got the shoulders and all. If you haven't got any shoulders, we don't want another Sweetwater Road. If you haven't got any shoulders.
Well, there's nothing scarier than coming up on a logging truck on Woodlawn. Whether you're opposite directions or behind one, or one's behind you.
Well, their logging trucks will stop after a year,
They do, but still.
and then it'll just be stone trucks.
So when we talk about trucks, also, the average here, and it's driven by volume and production. But the average here we're talking about is about 8 trucks an hour. So it's not like there's one after another. Now, that didn't speak to your statement about the shoulders of the road. I would say that, and this doesn't mean anybody has to agree with it, but the DOT, part of achieving that encroachment permit or the entrance permit that we'll need is doing the traffic analysis where they have the authority to say you need to improve this portion of the road or that. And they did give improvement recommendations around the entrance, but at least in their review, they were comfortable with Woodlawn.
And we have them providing us digital copies of this paperwork. These are the studies and such, and we're gonna make that available to y'all. It is a lot, so it's not something we can email. So I haven't
A
decided
link
whether
on the website.
we're gonna put a link on the website, or if y'all want a physical copy, you'll just have to stop by the office and pick one up. We're happy to print it for you, of course, but just to give you an idea of the traffic that we're talking about, at the trip generation 10-year operation, that's 278 trips per day. And the overwhelming majority of those trips are between 11 and 2. So it's not early morning operation. It's not really late. And then at fully developed site, which, as he said, would be 50 years down the road, that moves up to about 400 trips per day. So not a huge traffic impact, but as you know, they are big trucks. So big trucks have a higher impact on roads than a car would.
Is DOT requiring turn lanes, separate turn lanes for in and out of your entrance?
Not separate turn lanes, just shoulder improvement work where you have a decel lane coming into it. And some drainage work associated with that.
At your other sites, do y'all, have field trips for the community or schools?
We do,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
We have,
That's me.
I'm sure Susan will talk about it, but my mom was a science teacher, and one of the things that drew me to Luck was they have this big rock kit, and a few years back they put one in every fifth grade classroom across the state of Virginia because that's when they were teaching earth science. And my mom came into a classroom that I guess the teacher before her had taken it, so I gave her one for Christmas one year. And so,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, the Columbia County Quarry,
Mhm.
you know, 'cause I homeschooled all my kids, so it was the homeschool group field trip. And, I mean, it was fantastic. They put us in an old school bus and we went down in one of the old quarries and
Yeah.
then back up the hill, so, and then we went into like a little classroom and they gave us a free hot dog lunch and they,
yeah, love that.
you know, taught us all about
Yeah.
the rocks.
There's
and
so
what
many
they're doing.
ties that we
Yeah.
can take to the STEM we can do to the geology, all those
Right,
kinds of things.
right.
So.
That's
We've
a great
got a-
opportunity.
We've got a really cool site in Virginia that actually you can see in the bottom of the pit, dinosaur tracks. And so, you know, there's a little bit of a partnership with the Smithsonian, and then every year we have, and what's it called? The dinosaur walk or
Uh-huh.
something like that.
We have a book about it.
Yeah, and every year school buses are coming in and parents and kids, and things like that. But there is, and Katie mentioned the foundation earlier. One of the pillars of that is education and youth education in particular. So a ton of, you know, and it doesn't have to be about quarries. We have people that show up and teach sections on engineering and associated math, and then work with seniors on what's your next step, and kind of working through career thinking and stuff like that. And I am kind of stealing your thunder
That's
now, I'm
okay,
sorry.
that's okay. There's so much to talk about. Am I next? Yes. Great. I just want to say that, as my colleagues have pointed out, we're very much a family-based company, and we treat each other like family. We have for over 100 years, and so we also treat our communities like family. And we are, in our organization, we have something called We Care, which is a term we use for each other, and we also use it for our communities. And every single one of us owns a T-shirt that says We Care, and we wear that T-shirt when we go out and do volunteer work. We are working right now at food banks on a monthly basis, working with fire and rescue for fundraising events, working in the schools, as they've already mentioned, teaching courses or helping with career preparedness. This is just an ongoing mindset of the company that we are as much in our communities as our communities are with us. We also get very involved in business development or community development in terms of bringing up a community. And I just want to give one example that's similar to what we were just talking about. I was at the Chamber of Commerce event last night in Fairfield County, which is one of our newest sites. It just opened. And the director of the Chamber of Commerce came up to me and he said, every single business that comes to meet with me, I make them go by Luckstone and look at the entrance. And I tell them that they have to look as good as Luckstone looks, and they have to behave the way Luckstone looks. And then I had a neighbor come up to me and she said, I live next door to Luckstone and I didn't want you guys to come to town, and now I'm so glad you're here. And then the mayor of Ridgeway came up to me to talk about a stone that we contributed for their center square. So it was just an outpouring of thanks and gratitude on both sides. We were a sponsor of that event. That's typical of what we do. We sponsor a lot of events wherever possible in communities. So basically, as Ben mentioned, we have a pillar, which is education, We have a pillar that is environment, and we have a pillar that is community. And we focus on those three pillars when we come into a community, a new community, and then we stay with them. We stay with our commitments to the community for years, for decades. And we have relationships that go way back with churches and schools and first responders, wherever the need may be. So that's what I'm here for, is to start making those relationships, make those connections. I've already had the opportunity to make a few, and looking for ideas from you all to add to that list. So, can do.
Yeah, and I do think it says a lot that, I mean, that is Susan's job. Like, in the department she runs, that is their sole focus, is community. So this isn't kind of just duck in, duck out type of stuff. This is long-term relationships.
And one thing that we like to do, that ongoing relationship of the we care is important, but we also want to help with systemic change in the community, areas where we can make a difference with a long-term vision that you may have that will 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, we want to lift up a particular part of the county. I'll just give you a couple of examples. I was at Bettis Preparatory School last week. Recognize the fact that they don't have an indoor recreation facility. We often have partnerships with people in the communities or with other organizations in the community to come together and pool our resources and make something happen. Let's see. So here's an example. This is an example of, it's not in your book, so you'll have to squint. But basically, in Virginia, we have collaborated with the different environmental groups to help bring back the Chesapeake Bay. So Alliance with Chesapeake Bay Foundation, James River Association, which is our Riverkeeper Association. We've been partnering with them for a couple of decades now to work on stream restoration projects and other environmental cleanups, et cetera. And as a result, the bay, which was really falling into disrepair around the year 2000, our oyster population was almost completely wiped out. And now it's coming back, and our oysters are being sold all the way across the country to California, Las Vegas, and other places. A lot of that material and volunteer work and other things that went into that project came from Luck employees. And then I just want to tell one more story because I know some of you might like horses. So we had something fun that happened a couple of weeks ago that was near and dear to my heart. The Racehorse Secretariat was born not far from our headquarters in Virginia, in Richmond, outside Richmond. And his birthday is March 30th. He would have been 54. Horses don't live that long. But at any rate, we were approached. So the community, there's a small town of about 5,000 people, are putting a statue, a life-size statue of Secretariat in the town square. And it is going to be a major attraction for them. So they had an all-day event on his birthday to do the unveiling of this statue. And they had contacted us back in the fall. Again, we're like, text, call, we're an open door, and asked us if we would create the foundation for the statue. And what they wanted to do was they wanted to recreate the composition of the 3 racetracks that he had run on. So they sent us soil samples from Preakness, the Belmont, and Churchill Downs. And our ecosystems team worked together to figure out what the soil compositions were, and then recreated them and built the foundation. And that was a big part of the presentation.
I didn't know that. I remember you mentioning it. I didn't know it was that involved. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, again, love to get your ideas. We'd love to get started right away on connecting, perhaps for summer programs, for example, for kids. I understand there's a recreation program, Parks and Rec. We could get involved right away in helping make that happen.
Yeah, one thing we've talked about recreation-wise is to have, and I'm thinking closer to Edgefield municipality, is some type of central recreation facility for the county, for the kids. Where y'all are close to Meriwether, most of those people are gonna go to North Augusta, it's just closer. And there's already more opportunities there. But I don't feel like that the children have an opportunity up here closer to Edgefield. And I think a few have, not the only one that have asked about partnering with maybe with the YMCA, in finding land and building some type of recreation center for the community that way. I feel like that's a need that we have in Edgefield. But I think the Y expects for the town to provide the land and maybe another nonprofit to help the costs in building. And, it would be great to have a corporation that could probably start that nonprofit foundation and the fundraising for that, for the community that, maybe invite other corporate partners in the county to help provide that for Edgefield. I'd love to see something like that come up this way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
I see that as a need that
Yeah.
would be great to have corporate partners for something like that.
Definitely. That's great.
I won't take up any time talking about Edgefield County needs. We don't have that
Oh.
much time. I could give you a list of things I'd love to partner on, but we'll do that out of the meeting. Because we are getting pressed for time, so I would say that we need to open it up for closing remarks or closing questions.
The
Like
last
I said earlier, everything that these guys have offered us as far as what you're seeing in that booklet, their contact information, everything that they discussed, we'll give a link to you guys. And if you have somebody calling you, asking you questions, you can refer them to the link, all that, their contact information, everything will be there. Their maps, their presentation will all be there as well. So, and everything will go into your memorandum as well.
And
for
also,
y'all's review.
I don't know if y'all have actually started y'all's website yet, but I know we discussed that. One of the things we're gonna do is, now that it's been introduced to both the county council and the planning commission, we will be putting a link for the public on our website that links to theirs so that the public will have the ability to communicate with them as well.
That's the link I was referring to. That way, when they ask you questions, you can, because we're, like you said earlier, it's just too much, because we have a hard time getting information. What I send out is too large, and it kicks them back, people don't get it. So if I just send everybody a link, y'all will get it, and you'll have a direct link, and then you can refer people to our website, and all their information will be on there if they want to contact directly, look at it for themselves.
I did have one other question. So I'm assuming y'all use a blasting technique, right? Okay, so, what impact does that normally have on the people that live near your quarries? Do you let them know that, hey, this week we're blasting? And are they feeling or hearing?
It's called a pre-blast survey to everyone within a certain radius of the extraction area. That includes foundation structures, homes, etc. It also is a well survey, so there's a different third party that comes out and inspects the well. That is a third party that is hired by Luck, but they are generally working for DHEC. That will provide a copy for the homeowner to keep forever. DHEC will keep a copy, and then Luxstone will keep a copy. Then fast forward to when the first blast occurs, we will either post in the newspaper, community meeting. There'll be shared information about how and when that's going to happen, and allow people to sign up for text message alerts, email alerts, phone calls. Would I expect it to feel and sound like for folks? Our closest neighbor is about 1,500 feet away. If they feel anything, it will feel like a light rumble. But like I said, I know that's shocking to people when they feel it, but the regulations we hold ourselves to are half that of the federal and state regulations, which are well below the threshold that would cause any damage to structures. We also put seismographs in, so that's how we hold ourselves accountable to that half of the regulatory limit. And those details are public, so we hold them on site. We send them to the state regulators, and if there's ever a question, the county can have a copy. Anybody is welcome to access those. In terms of sound, if they hear anything, it will sound like thunder. And I don't anticipate that being very often. The one thing that we're fighting is cloud cover. So if it's a low cloud cover that day, I would anticipate they do hear something like thunder. It is less than a second long. So we detonate our shots in milliseconds, not seconds. So it will be very quick. And it will only occur on a site of this size, generally a week and a half to every 2 weeks. I say that with a caveat. In the beginning, it may be closer to once a week as we're trying to get the larger faces established, but it should settle in at 1.5 to 2 times a month. So,
And we are having a community information session on Monday, May 6th at Sweetwater Community Center. We will have our blaster there to answer questions and to let people witness what a blast would look like. So we encourage people to come out. We'll make sure that we get cards out to the community.
Yeah, we got it.
John, start recommending.
thank you guys so much
Thank
for your
you all.
time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you guys.
We have our regular meeting. Oh, gosh.
Approve
So
the
you get
meeting.
home tonight, right?
No.
Can I help you?
Yes, if you do that, I can help you move the ticket.
Okay.
At this time, we will call to order our planning commission meeting for April 11, 2024. We have an invocation by Lisa.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us today. Thank you for allowing us to come together as a community to talk about the business of the planning department. Lord, I pray that you will be with us and keep our words kind and our thoughts clear. And help us go forward as being stewards of your property. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Stand for our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need a motion for the approval of the minutes for April 11, which is tonight.
So moved.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Hold that hand. Approval for our minutes for our work session for March 14.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, right hand. Motion to approval of the meeting for March 14, 2024.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, right hand. Our motion to approve for our minutes. Guest speakers, guest speaker. Reports, staff report on approval of minor exempt subdivision, report on approved land development. Association, application.
Y'all have a copy of the report for that in front of you. We have, I didn't even add these up, I apologize. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plat reviews. There was one land development application that y'all heard last month for the boat and RV storage. It was approved, and they received their approval letter. But these are the minor and exempt subdivisions and plat reviews in front of you for the month of March.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And of course, you see on there, also the one land development that's on there, that is the Luck Company's application. So.
And that will come before y'all in May. That's all I have.
This Hamilton here, that subdivision out there by the hospital out there?
Yes.
Okay. Minor subdivision, okay, good.
Which one are you talking about?
The
The
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
We-
Yeah,
we-
that's in the city limits.
Yeah, that's inside.
Yeah, I know, but
That-
that is
that's
the
the
area out
city.
there though, right, out by the hospital?
Yeah, no, that's not the one at the hospital.
That's on
Going out of
Pickens.
Sweetwater then?
That's on Pickens.
Pickens.
On Picking, okay.
Yes, sir.
I've been attempting that, all right.
The subdivision next to the hospital, they are still, if I had to guess, 8 months away from having any sort of final plat.
Oh, okay.
They're still clearing.
So Edgefield City doesn't have any land development regulations. Well, they have land development regulations, but they don't have a process that, like the county has, and we're actually discussing them officially just putting that over to the county so that we can actually keep up with a developer that would be inside the city, since they don't have anybody to do that. We haven't worked all those details out yet. But I'm going to hold them to the same standard as I would someone working in the county. So I'm not going to let them submit any sort of final plat, sell any lots, or make any profit off of the property until all the infrastructure has been finalized, approved, accepted, and all of their DHEC is completed. And the town's aware of that, and so is the developer. So it's still going to be a while before you see any sort of final platting for that particular subdivision.
Okay. Any question on any of them? Okay.
No.
All right, appreciate it. No old business? No new business?
None.
No exec session? Good.
We cleared the meeting so that y'all could have y'all's presentation and conversation with.
We're good. We want to thank, I just forgot the name already. Luck for the presentation and so forth. We look forward to working with you in the county on this. You know, don't wanna come in, appreciate all the comment. We still short 2 members, right? Okay.
So we have sent recommendations to council. Obviously, one of those is an at-large, so there's several candidates there for council to review. Tiffany's replacement, we have sent one candidate that she found. We've talked to him, gone over everything with him. I believe that he's good with it, he understands. So he's probably going to accept, but you won't know until after the next county council meeting. That's when they're going to vote on those 2 chair replacements. So we'll see.
Okay. A motion for John?
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion second for John, all in favor, John?